That is good to go. Yeah, we're good.
Okay, right. Okay, so I'd like to announce that the March meeting of the Traffic Safety Commission is now commencing. So we'll, first of all, welcome members of the public. We're always pleased to see you. You're our eyes and ears, and it's always helpful to hear reports from you. So first of all, we'll have the roll call. If we could start with you, Rob, and we'll just go round. Yeah.
Sure, Robert Arias.
And turn on your mic, please, just for recording.
Robert Arias, citizen member, present.
Richard Davis, citizen member.
Good afternoon, Steve Weiss, citizen member, present.
And Paul Maxwell is absent tonight. Ryan McLean, staff liaison for the city.
Officer Rishi Nagy with the police department.
Okay, thank you. So the next item is public comment, and we have a form from John Kawamoto, who would like to speak. Sorry. So,
Yeah, go ahead.
So you understand the sort of rules that we have that okay, fine, sorry.
Summary, please, yeah.
Yeah, it needs to be something not on the agenda, because then you speak to it at the agenda times.
Yeah, I think,
Okay.
So, first of all, thank you for providing an opportunity for me
That
to.
mic on.
Hello. First of all, thank you to the members of the commission for allowing, a chance for public comment. I appreciate that. And I appreciate all the work you folks do for the safety of Pleasant Hill residents and non-residents. So thank you. I wanted to raise an issue. Actually, I sent Ryan an email about this the other day. I think when I was reading the most recent Outlook, I kind of noticed the bicycle and pedestrian master plan. I know that's not a new document, but I read this, happened to read this little article in detail recently, and I was kind of I thought of a traffic safety matter that has to do with sort of pedestrians and traffic, et cetera. I live right off of Pleasant Hill Road, in the sort of the south part of Pleasant Hill, and I've lived there for a long time, 30-something years. My wife and I, we raised our kids. Our kids went to Pleasant Hill Elementary. We love Pleasant Hill. We love the area. However, there is something about Pleasant Hill Road in that area that, I've been noticing for a long time. So I'm hoping that this bicycle and pedestrian plan and improvements that are associated with this can somehow at least partially address this concern. And the concern is that there is not really a pedestrian walkway or sidewalk or anything between most of Pleasant Hill Road between Geary and Cumberland. And for those of you who are familiar with Pleasant Hill Road, I'm sure that's not news. Also, a couple things that to me exacerbate sort of the situation is that there's multiple sets of parents and kids that I live on Lucinda Lane. And so a lot of these sets of parents and kids walk right by our house in the morning and in the afternoon, sort of to and from Pleasant Hill Elementary. So there's people walking along, kids, right? Kids and their parents walking along Pleasant Hill Road to get to the elementary school. Pleasant Hill Road is kind of a main way to get from the area that I live in and, the whole neighborhood there to get to Palos Verdes Mall and sort of that area over there. There's really not another way to walk. So I wish there was, but there really isn't. It takes, I don't know, it must be 3 times as long to walk around, so to speak. Also, and this has to do more with traffic safety, is a lot of drivers on Pleasant Hill Road go faster than the posted speed limit. That's probably not a surprise to anybody. So I'm also would like to see some sort of traffic calming measures, if nothing else, traffic calming measures on Pleasant Hill Road in that area to slow people down so that if you happen to sort of try to walk along Pleasant Hill Road, it's not as hazardous for the people who are trying to walk, because there's a tiny little walkway on each side, but boy, when the cars are whizzing by at 45 or 50 miles an hour, it's doesn't feel safe at all. Anyway, so that's what I'd like to share with you, and maybe like to request, well, a couple of things. I'd like to request, that something be considered as part of this plan. And then maybe my other question is, I know that there's some of my neighbors who are also concerned about this situation. And so something I'm wondering about is how to, if I were to try to get some other neighbors sort of together and provide, some input as a group, or just get more people to chime in, how would I go about doing that is maybe a question. So anyway, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your contribution. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we'll have a request also from Fred Fernacki. Is it? Sorry, excuse me if I don't pronounce your name correctly.
That's fine, thank you. Yes, I'm Fred Fernaney, my wife, Mary Ann. I guess an interesting coincidence. We live very close to, in fact, when we take our dog for a walk, we go by Lucinda. It's a little access, and I think he was talking about the back way to the school and then the other way on the main street. Our concern is specifically the curve at the point where we live, and it's just past Lucinda, where Lucinda hits Pleasant Hill Road, and Withers goes the other way. That's kind of the start of the curve that goes past our house. We're kind of right at the middle of the curve. We moved here about 8.5 years ago, and discovered, pretty quickly that it was a bad situation. It's a kind of a blind curve, and so there's challenges because of that, and people speed. From when we moved in, there were at least 3 accidents, 4. We participated by going out to check and help if needed a couple times. That was in the first few years. I don't think we've seen an accident for the last 2 or 3 years. But the curve is our concern, that we'd like to see some sort of way of slowing people down. Whether it would be flashing yellow lights or a speed bump would probably be a little much for, kind of a through street. Tons of people use Pleasant Hill Road to, get across town over there. But that's our request. I emailed, and it's been probably over a year now, I think. Well, I came to a meeting even long, I think it was pre-COVID, and the meeting was canceled, and I just retired this past June, so my schedule's easier now because I worked in Fremont and trying to get here at 4 o'clock. But yeah, it's been a concern, and I'm glad we finally were able to make the meeting and share that concern with you here. So thank you. Do I accept questions? No, that's it.
Thank you very much for your
Okay.
contribution. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very good.
So you're good. No, you're good.
I'm Mary Ann. I'm a nurse, and I say that only because I was the 911 call when we first moved in and helped somebody that smashed into the trees. And since that time, they took the trees away at that little parklet park. It's pretty terrifying. I had a brother hit by a car and died. And so I'm extra sensitive. I had no idea when we moved here how busy that street could be. There's crazies, and there's crazies everywhere. Work at Children's Hospital in Palo Alto, across the bay. So I deal with 3 freeways and crazy people driving. Okay, I get that. But where you live, the thing that hurts and is concerning to me and hurts is I don't see a police presence. I think in the few times I've noticed like this, and I know you're busy. I don't know how big the police department is. I'm not here to judge, but I'm here to say that somebody's going to get hit. We have a new puppy. It's a golden retriever, and we walk to get to Lucinda. But to get anywhere, there's windows of time on the weekend where people aren't flying, but it is pretty frightening. People on their cell phone, we all know the drill. Nobody cares. I don't know that people do this purposely. I feel like we're invisible houses. That's what I like to believe, that people aren't trying to hurt us. They're just getting from point A to point B, getting around traffic, and not realizing that I'm trying to pull out of the driveway. And when I do, at that blind curve, it is petrifying. Like you have to punch to go, because the person, then they're honking the horn like a complete moron, and all you're doing is trying to get out of your driveway. I don't have grandkids yet. I'm still working. I'm not retired yet, but I walk on that street. We have kids. One's going to med school. They're big now, but I walk on that street. And so I would love to see, like, maybe if people notice more police presence, like you are using your radar. And I'm not all about that either, but I don't know what it takes. I mean, a bump, it is a curve. It's a sharp curve, and it's kind of a fun road. I like to drive fast. I'll be honest. I have a pilot, but it's fun to punch it. And I can see how people want to punch it on that curve, but we all live there. He lives on Lucinda. Kids, I see him walking to work. I actually allow people to walk in my driveway to get them off the road. And there was a bump. I'm like, you just can't sue me. There's a disclaimer. But seriously, anything to get them off, because it's scary in the morning. And not just the morning. It's any given time of the day. Maybe there's windows of time on the weekend. But overall, I'm more hyper. I've been trying, and I work Tuesdays. It's amazing that I'm working. I do 12-hour shifts. No pity party, but my set schedule is usually Tuesdays, and I'm off today. So I'm here. I'm excited. So more police presence, or how fast people are going, whatever those bumps that you can control. And maybe it's an algorithm that shows how many cars are speeding and exceeding the speed limit, that allows a speed bump or a flashing light or something at that point. I'm sure all of us on Pleasant Hill Road would have a comment, but we really are at this very logistical point of a hill right by Lucinda and a relatively sharp curve for a road like that. So I would love to see more police presence, like with radar, and maybe from that and noticing people getting tickets, they'll spread the word that slow down, and really a flashing light at that bend to really help us. And at night it's so dark. I see people walking or with their kid, and it's a beautiful summer night, and so anyway, thank you for listening. I hope this does some good for our community.
Alan, is it okay to comment in this? Or, I know it's public comment, so.
Yeah, so I was going to give a little bit of information, but we should not discuss this item since it was not
Okay,
on
thank
the
you.
agenda.
Okay.
But I was just going to mention that section of Pleasant Hill Road is in the pedestrian and bicycle master plan that's going before council on March 18th. So, yes, for sure. Yeah.
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 Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for coming. So in the plan, it's to add actually a path along there, I believe, and as well as it's a study corridor to try and look at what the best solution is there for both bicyclists and pedestrians. It is on the radar. I will also mention that it's half in the county once you get past Withers. So south of Withers, the west side is county, the east side is city. So there is some jurisdictional pieces there. And we've partnered with the city of Walnut Creek on projects down by the shopping center. Yeah, and then we partner with the county on other projects as well. So there's that piece. And then the last thing I was going to mention was that there is a project putting in stop signs at Paradise in front of the Learn and Play school right there. So that's going to become an always stop intersection. That's what has been in the works for a while. It should go in the next couple weeks. So that'll kind of add one more spot where traffic has to stop. And so that will hopefully also help with speeds. I know it's not on the curve, but still kind of near that.
The daycare next to elementary?
Correct. So right now it's where the crossing guard is that helps cross across Pleasant Hill Road. So that's going to become all-way stop. So traffic on Pleasant Hill Road also has a stop sign.
Cone and has been blown out.
Yeah.
At least three.
Yeah. So it'll be a stop sign in a couple weeks. Yeah. Yeah, understood. So thank you both. Thank you all for your comments.
Thank you.
Yeah, the March 8th, that meeting have a public, we want to make some comments about what's in the plan. Would that be helpful or is that not included in that meeting?
There's an opportunity for public comment on that. And there has been various outreach points along the way, which is not everybody. It went through Planning Commission about at the end of January, but also a year ago, and comments were given then, so the plan was kind of updated based on this. So
So is there anything we should email specific names that last, we did, I think somebody with this code, which is such a fucking time, to push this, because I really am passionate about this curve, it's so scary.
you can always address council too, and at a similar open comment or with an email. I'll also give you my card, so you can email me. All right.
Okay. Again, thank you very much for your contribution.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to item 4, which is to approve the minutes of the meeting of February the 6th. And are there any comments or corrections, suggested corrections? Or
Can you move your microphone a little bit closer to you?
so you
Thank
can-
I can hear you, but we want it on the
Right,
recording
right.
for minutes.
Yeah, okay. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Thank you. No? So someone like to propose,
Move approval?
Second.
we vote on that? Aye?
Aye.
All right. Do you need to vote on that? Okay. All right. Good.
Okay, so. Right, item number 5. I'll hand over to you, Ryan, for that request for no parking on Viking Drive, North Drive.
All right, sounds good. So these were a couple of requests that came in specifically related to school traffic. I will share my screen. I'm just going to show them on the map. Okay, so College Park High School is right here. Flip over to this. This is Viking Drive in between DVC and College Park. And this is the intersection of Norse and Viking, an intersection that you have brought up, Stephen.
Yes.
So the specific request is all related to traffic backing up in this area around Viking and Norse and Viking and Stubbs. And so there's quite a bit of traffic here for Valley View Middle School, for College Park High School, some for DVC, some for Valhalla Elementary up the hill. Oops. Sorry about that. So the specific requests that we received, one was to paint more red curb along this portion of Norse, so northbound approaching Viking, for the purpose of allowing right turning vehicles to kind of queue up to the right of through and left turning vehicles to kind of create 2 lanes right here. And so right now there's a short section of red curb. There is typically a vehicle parked after this though. So I did go out there and look at this. There's a lot of traffic here. It's an all-way stop. So there's queues in kind of all directions. I'd say the primary queue backup, the longest queues are up north to the north, actually, and then on Viking to the west, this direction. So the specific request was over at this location. There is traffic going all directions from this northbound approach here. It was not the longest queues. Those other approaches had longer queues. And occasionally a right turn would be able to sneak by the through traffic or at least go at the same time, but it isn't always stop. So it's not like a traffic signal where you're sitting for a long time if you're in this queue. It's moving. There are a lot of pedestrians crossing across this crosswalk right here. So from my analysis, there's not the traffic queues along here to justify that. And as well, I'd be concerned with right turning traffic going when there's a pedestrian crossing here that maybe a driver would not see because of a larger vehicle parked in the through movement. So because of that, I think given the nature of the schools, I would not recommend adding additional red curb there to essentially create a second lane. Mostly because, again, it's an always stop and you end up with some confusion around that. So that's where my recommendation landed on that. Happy to discuss further or not. I think in the past, Stephen, you've brought up just people not stopping at that location.
Well, I think the stop signs are ancient, and just putting in modern stop signs that flash, that are with the solar powered ones. I've seen them at Concord City Hall, places like that. I think that would actually help. And Stubbs does get it busy at times because of the college.
Yeah.
So I think that would help tremendously. The other thing is, I agree with you. I don't think red curbing that area makes any sense. The bigger problem you have is that people are in a hurry and they're dropping their kids off on the corner there, and then they're blocking the bicycle lane. Like for public safety, for law enforcement, it'd be really great to kind of scare people, because they will, if they know they can get away with things, they will drop their kids off right on the corner there. And if bikes are coming down, that's dangerous. Just every once in a while, have a patrol out there checking out the area. And once you're there, then they won't do it. But you will see people that, well, they got to make it to Norse, they got to make it to the freeway, so it gets really, really busy. Yeah, red curbing, that doesn't make any sense to me at all.
You're talking about on eastbound Viking.
Biking, yes. Yeah, they'll just stop on the side there, but there's a bike lane there and it's protected, and they shouldn't stop there. But I agree with you. It makes no sense we have so many red curbs in that area. It doesn't even, I'm confused by them, and you don't want to create more of that.
Yeah. Okay. It's not working. It's not on. Do you remember? No. He's showed me how to do this so many times.
It's not streaming to,
No, it's not streaming.
but it's still recording, correct?
Correct. It's still recording. It was probably this that I was supposed to do. I think it's going now. Does it? Yeah, does it show up on yours now? I think it's going now. Does it? Yeah, does it show up on yours? I think
Hitting the infinity screen.
it is not streaming. Okay. I think it's going now. All right, and we had a couple of people on there, so apologies to those who were looking for the stream since it was not working. Okay. Any other?
Okay, are we all done?
So the queues on that intersection are generally during drop off and and pickup is my guess. And, currently as a four-way, red curbing that would turn it basically into almost, like an eight direction turning with right turning, or six, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, the
Adding-
request was only for that one approach to do red curb. Yeah, just the northbound north, which has probably the heaviest right turn movement at that time of day in the morning because it's going towards the school. So it's kind of all directions going towards the school. However, I was surprised to see quite a few drivers also going across Viking and turning left onto Viking. I think it's just the confluence of all the directions that schools are, and then also just a lot of housing in this area. So there would be some benefit to traffic, but again, you'd have to take the red curb pretty far back to really provide that benefit. And again, just the concern with all the pedestrians that cross right here and kind of setting up almost a double jeopardy type condition where a right turning driver does not see the pedestrian walking across in the crosswalk.
Yeah. There are a lot of kids, during that, on that intersection during certain times.
Totally agree with your recommendation.
Okay, are we all done on that one? Yeah, good.
Sounds like.
Okay, so moving to item number 6, request for turn restrictions on Viking Drive, Stubbs Road.
So this is just right down
Yeah.
the street.
Very close.
Probably could have just combined these, but this was also a request that said to prohibit left turns onto Stubbs in the morning because it can back up traffic. There is a keep clear here, and for the most part, people were keeping clear and leaving that left turn open. And so as long as people are following the keep clear, then they can make that left turn and it won't back up traffic towards the intersection that we were just talking about. So I did see it happen once, maybe the traffic actually backed up to Norse over the 45 hour that I was out there. But it quickly cleared as soon as someone actually someone turned left there. So again, for this one, I'm not recommending adding in the no left turn signage. The challenge with no left turn signage anyway is that it's often ignored. And so here I just would rather refresh the keep clear labels on there and again, did not see it as a major issue.
I do it 4 days a week and right there, and I don't see it personally. I see other things out there, but that's one thing I don't see. And the peak hours from DVC and College Park are not exactly the same either. So, I mean, backing up is just, like you said, there's just a lot of homes in this area and they're all converging in this area.
Yeah.
In middle school, high school, it's 20 minutes a day, well, in the morning and 20 minutes in the afternoon.
It is longer because of the staggered start times here. So I think Valley View starts at around 8:05,
Yes.
8:08, something like that, and College Park is closer to 8:30. But so it does last longer than where if it was just one school. But again, there's not a whole lot to do. There's 2 lanes of traffic, and I would say that a lot of the turning traffic onto Stubbs and going into DVC at this time is actually parents dropping off for College Park and Valley View as well. So
Well, if you can't make the left, then you'd have to go all the way down by this, almost to the stadium. And I mean, that's a lot, and that's even worse down there.
Yeah,
So
then it's actually adding congestion to the other end. That's a good
I
point.
haven't seen that problem over there on Stubbs, but
Okay.
And would that be accomplished through like putting bollards there or just a sign saying?
There's a sign because we just do time of day, and so
no room
even
for
less.
pockets or
And that
anything.
might not,
Yeah.
you just give enforcement an opportunity.
Yeah, but again, to me, it did not seem like an regularly occurring issue.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be logically needed by people, for people to accept it. And
Correct.
otherwise you'd have them on every intersection, everywhere, all over the place. And
Correct.
then if it's not enforceable easily and doesn't make sense, it's not a good thing.
Yeah. Just double checking the streaming is working. We're good.
Okay, you're good.
Okay.
Is everything okay recording?
Yes.
You're right, good. Okay. So, any more comments on that particular item? No. Okay, so we'll now move on to the project updates.
All right, several project updates. So I'll start with the countywide smart signals project that went to city council at the last meeting. And this is a project that the Contra Costa Transportation Authority is doing to upgrade signals, over 300 signals throughout Contra Costa County on the major kind of regional corridors. And so they got a grant through the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, MTC, to do this in partnership with the local agencies, the 19 cities and the county as well. And so they got OBAG 3 funding for that. So that's One Bay Area grant funding for this. That requires, can I remember this, 11.47% match. It's a very precise number. But basically at council, we got the approval to sign the funding agreement that we would provide the 11.47%, which is around $150,000 to then get the 1.3 million needed to upgrade the signals in Pleasant Hill. And that's specifically along the Taylor Boulevard corridor, the Contra Costa Boulevard corridor, and then Monument, like 3 signals around Monument to that are within Pleasant Hill's jurisdiction. And the upgrades include new traffic controllers, new detection equipment, so going to cameras of some sort to detect. And these are modern cameras, so they're detecting pedestrians and they're detecting bicycles, and they can be used to hold red time at an intersection to, if a pedestrian is still in the crosswalk, to make sure that they get all the way across before releasing the cross traffic. They can be used the same way for bicyclists to make sure bicyclists get all the way across the intersection. They can be used to monitor to see if there's near misses happening at an intersection and a pattern of those so that we can address it before it becomes an actual crash. So kind of proactive safety monitoring as well. So, and then also tying all these together. So really having a system of communication along those corridors so that we can coordinate the signals along them and do kind of the modern signal type stuff. The emphasis from CCTA on this is to manage things when there's an incident. So say 680, there's a major crash, a lot of traffic is getting off on Pleasant Hill Road in Lafayette to bypass and comes down Taylor and gets back on. So when needed, it can be used to kind of manage changes in regional traffic. It also could be used if there's an evacuation in process for, say, a wildfire that's happening and certain routes need to be given priority to help evacuate. So that's kind of the regional reason for it. From the local perspective, I'm very excited just to have the additional safety benefits of it. And then also to get Contra Costa Boulevard moving so that maybe we don't need all 6 lanes. I didn't say
You
that.
mentioned Taylor, with Sun Valley also, there's lights up there going past the freeway. Those would be all part of that, I would assume?
Yes, so those are all in Concord. So we've got
Santa Monica, and some of those, there's lights.
Yeah, as soon as half of Taylor is Concord. Sorry, half of Contra Costa Boulevard at that point.
Right, right.
Yeah. So all of those signals are part of it as well. They're on the Concord side of it. We've got 44 signals in Pleasant Hill, and this is covering 20 of them.
The biggest one I noticed is actually at Monument and Buskirk. I think that's really the tough one.
Yeah.
Because everyone's making the left, and doing that to go into Walnut Creek. So that one, I've seen some near misses there.
Yes. So that intersection will be included as well as the first one south of the Monument Buskirk on Buskirk. So just because it's so
Okay,
close
that's
to
good.
it. And then Contra Costa Monument, obviously, and then the first signal, the Crescent Drive Crescent, just because it's so close to Monument, so that will also be upgraded. And so they're going into design now. So this has been in the planning process for quite a while. So this will be starting design.
You said it was 11.47%. How much is that in dollars?
Yeah, so 100, for us, it's 150,000. For the entire county, I want to say it's like $33 million total of,
That's what
for the
it says in
project.
document. Yeah.
And then the match for local agencies is around 3.5 million. So,
Okay, thank you.
Is the system demand responsive? Is it interactive in that sense?
yeah, so it's got adaptive timing on it so that it can adjust to various changes along there, along the corridor.
They call
as those
it
happen.
ATMS or whatever that is, or is that?
Yeah, so we'll also we're looking at different systems because basically each city will have its own kind of monitoring system, and then that will talk to a countywide system that's at CCTA. Whether these are physically located in those locations or not is another question. We're looking right now to a cloud-based system. The other big pieces that it does is it has transit priority system, and it's not the typical ones, which are the same as the emergency vehicle preemption, little birdhouses you see on top of them. It's actually talking up to that system. If the bus is running behind schedule, then it'll let signals ahead know that they need to give extra green so that the bus can actually get back on schedule. And then same with emergency vehicles, they get dispatched to a location, the system knows where they're going and preemptively sets those systems to green.
So is there-
Instead of relying on the optical,
Yeah.
they're called Opticom systems.
So it's a dumb question, but who controls the signals? Is it the county or is it the Caltrans or is it who?
I mean,
Who's in charge?
technically, it's the city. Under normal operating conditions, the city, Pleasant Hill, is responsible for our signals. The county maintains the signals for us. So if there's an issue with the county, we don't have a signal crew that goes out. We call the county and they come out and take care of it.
Is the overall objective of the software to reduce total vehicle minimum delay? Or-
The first bullet on the objectives are improve safety. So that's the first bullet. The second bullet is improve mobility. So it will also be improving mobility for pedestrians and bicyclists because you'll get better detection, you'll get more responsive detection, and again, monitoring for safety as well. And I will say that, to your point, if there's an issue at a signal right now, it's often that someone has to see it. So if like a signal is in flash or if a detector is not working, someone has to experience that. They send a message to the city, then the city lets the county know, and then the county sends someone out. This system will be monitoring itself and communicating out so that if there's a problem, the county will actually get directly notified and can come straight out.
There's one other area that I've never quite been able to figure out who was taking care of what. It's when you far north part of the city where you go by Target and actually from Chillipasinga or up towards the Card Club and all that. I mean, that, Concord Avenue, going into Target, all that, is that right or good? Or, I mean, it seems awfully confusing to me.
So the Chilpancingo, Concord Ave, Contra Costa Boulevard, that's that first intersection going north. That is a Caltrans signal. And then the one at the Target driveway is also a Caltrans signal. And so we have made we continue to request that Caltrans upgrade, especially the Target signal.
Yeah, it backs up and then you block the whole street, but crossing is a problem, pedestrian crossing.
I assume it also records traffic flows, so you have a good counting system.
Yeah, it'll record counts.
Also, those signals, we have requested Caltrans to transfer their ownership to the city
I see.
once they upgrade them, because it's very hard, because on the pavement within that area, it's not in a good shape because it belongs to them. So every time when we pave those streets, it's on great shape, and when you go to that section, it's in a really bad shape. So we have requested Caltrans, but it's just very hard to get anything transferred from Caltrans over. But we haven't given up, but we do want to pursue in the future to have that signal come under the city because it's much easier to coordinate at that point.
We appreciate that, Anton, because those are probably there, and Monument, Buskirk are the two areas that I'd see the worst in the city at least. And it's really not the city, it's like 3 jurisdictions. So who do you talk to? Who do you deal with? Then you got grants and you got to match them, and
Could I ask what the sort of timeframe is that you would see it happening over?
Yeah, so design's starting now, wrapping up fall of next year.
okay.
And then construction would start, is that right? No.
26, 27 is when they were expecting to.
That's the operational. Yeah, so build construction 25 to 26, and then 26 to 27 would be kind of getting the system up and running, but we'll already have the upgrade, a lot of the upgrades done before then. We're also incorporating with our other projects, like the Taylor Civic project, the Contra Costa Boulevard project, we're incorporating the things that are needed for the system to work. So we're also not necessarily waiting until the end of that. And so now that we've got kind of funding in place, we'll start to look at opportunities to kind of move this along and get reimbursed for that.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Good on that one. Next one, Contra Costa Boulevard. Bid opening was last week. Yeah, and bids all came back. Well, bids came back where we needed them to come back. This was a rebid when they came back too high before. So moving forward with the low bidder on that, and we'll actually start, it'll go to council.
In 1st of April or 15th and under construction in May.
So that's covering Harriet to Viking and including major upgrades to the Taylor Boulevard, Contra Costa Boulevard intersection, and then a new signal at Allen Drive next to the new Starbucks.
The Taylor was the one you gave us a presentation on already, right? With the bike lanes and all that cool
Yes.
stuff going in there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's good.
Taylor Civic, we now have the signal poles where those will start going up in the next couple days, actually, probably all up next week. We're still waiting on the controller cabinet. Once that's in later this month, then that has to go to county for testing, and then wrapping up in April to have the signal operational. And then shortly thereafter, once the season is right, once temperatures warm up, that will be slurry sealed, new striping goes down, as well as on Norse, the project that we've been talking about as well. Slurry seal on Norse with the bike lane striping there. And even potentially that will happen at the same time as Lucille gets resurfaced and new striping for the bike lane there. So should be a lot of changes all kind of in the late April timeframe when the weather cooperates. Yep. Intersection and crosswalk improvements. You've probably seen the speed humps going in at the stop signs.
So fast how they do it.
Yes.
It's just, these tables are in, and like, they just boom, boom. I couldn't believe how quickly that was.
Yeah, it's like 18-inch sections, 18-inch strips, so they can just move them into place. Hold them down.
And I thought there was a lot more to it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's impressive.
So those are going, the speed humps have gone in, a lot of the striping has gone in. We're still, and some of the poles have gone up for the flashing stop signs. You've probably seen the poles start to pop up. Any day now, the stop signs, the flashing stop signs will be delivered. So we're still expecting in the next couple of weeks for that project to be wrapped up.
So the big question is, when will the crossing guards be done then? Have to ask the question.
That is actually a big one in a sense. Only thing that council have approved so far is not funding starting next school season, but we are not completely eliminating. They are looking for other options to work with school district to further fund that if they choose to continue it. So the question is still out there. So only thing is the city is not planning to contribute after the fall.
So is that the education committee that they're working with, or who is that, or is it?
They are working with the school district, because we do have representative from each school district and they're well aware what's happening. So we are not too sure. Also, I guess everyone is waiting to see what are these engineering improvements is going to do or make a difference. So hopefully this summer will be a good test to see what positive impacts that brings. And at that point, they may decide, what to do with the school car crossing at that point.
Okay, makes sense.
But the crossing guards are there for the remainder of the
For
school
the
year.
remainder of the year, okay. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Not sure if you all have heard anything, gotten any feedback on speed humps yet, but the ones that we are waiting on, so Morello and Viking is going to have an always stop going in. That, again, should be in the next couple of weeks. There'll be an always stop at Odin and Viking. So right now that's Odin, or Viking does not stop at Odin. There will be, and speed humps there. We were waiting to put the speed humps in until we have the stop signs to also go up, because we just want that new stop signs we want to have happen at the same time as the speed humps. And then same with the two over by Pleasant Hill Elementary, that will become always stops as well.
I asked my neighbors what they thought about them, and they didn't think they were bad. They said they're gentle, actually, compared to like some of the others that we've seen. Like again, in Lafayette, where you're like driving over many humps to every several feet, so.
Yeah.
I think they're fine.
Yeah. We particularly looked for those because we wanted to avoid any noise inconvenience to the resident who live by, especially when you have a garbage truck or moving truck. When they go over a big hump, then you get this big pounding sound. So it might be disruptive to the neighbors. So that's why we went with somewhat of a medium size hump.
I guess the question is they did it so quickly. How do they stay in place without popping out or something? Is there some kind of footing they put in there, or?
They drill a hole and then it's bolted down.
Yeah.
So they've got 2 to 4 bolts per piece.
Yeah, they have epoxy, for the mat plus the hold down.
It's amazing.
Yeah, screw.
Thank you.
And then lastly, the bicycle and pedestrian master plan going to the city council on the 18th. So.
We can't talk about what happened earlier, but can we talk in generalities?
I think so.
Okay, I'll talk in generalities like no one was here. We talked about this stretch of Pleasant Hill Road. It's like you said, it doesn't meet the warrants for major improvements because it's not a busy enough street. And you were saying that Taylor is really the de facto road to take to go to Lafayette or the 24 to Oakland or San Francisco. This road, though, I can tell you, I do it a lot, 3 times a week. And I don't see tremendous traffic on this road, but I see pretty good speed on this road. And I think there has to be some type of it has to be studied, I would say. Because it is a busy street.
Yeah, and we did talk about it before. And I think what kind of came out of that is it's not just the crossings, it's walking along Pleasant Hill Road.
Oh, everything.
A lot of people are wanting to get over to the shopping center. So it's identified as a study corridor in the bicycle and pedestrian master plan. And there's right-of-way challenges along there. So there are challenges that we need to address. And then there's going to be a big cost associated with it. But I'll look into what they asked in terms of speed countermeasures, I'll say.
Yeah.
Even if we can't get sidewalk down immediately.
Thank you. That's all I had to say.
Did you do speed recordings on that?
Yes.
Because my
But I-
impression is that I rarely see people speed on that. It's almost a natural traffic calming route, isn't it? Because it's.
Yeah, I think it was during the off-peak time that speeds start to climb up. I'll have to go back and look at the data.
When it's dark out, that's when I see people, I don't know if they're speeding, but they're getting very lost and they're in on the other lanes and everything. Yeah, it's just a confusing road if you don't know your way. So could be speed, might not be.
But I don't want to talk too much about it. It's not on
Oh, we're not. We're talking about the pedestrian, that's the plan, the bicycle and pedestrian plan, which you said will be going to council or.
Going to
That's fine.
council for adoption at the 18th meeting.
Okay, well, that's fine. We were part of the process, so we're good. Just,
Yes.
just saying, we did talk about it. It
Yeah.
wasn't like we didn't talk about it.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, that's it for me. Jonathan has,
Announcements?
yeah, this is announcements.
Oh, announcements, okay. With that announcement, I do wanted to, sorry, Chair.
Are we ready to move on to announcements?
I'm sorry.
I said we were ready for announcements, but it's actually up to you to say that we're ready for announcements.
You have to usher us along to the next agenda item.
Okay, right. We'll move on to the next. Yes, okay.
So just to let everyone know that as of April 1st, I'll be leaving Pleasant Hill and retiring.
Oh, good for you.
So to venture out into something different. Thank you.
CalPERS annuitant. Same as me.
So I will not be seeing you all on the next meeting, so that's why I want to make sure I come here and thank you all for your, services and the time that you have, given to the city and the residents. We truly appreciate it, and it's been an honor and pleasure to work with you all. And you're in a great hands, the chair became a liaison, and, you guys in a great hand, Ryan will take you through all sorts of projects, wonderful, great projects in the city. But I'm just happy that, you're all in a great hand and just trying to do something different. Not that I will not be working, but I may be working in a different capacity, maybe.
Your first 6
Consult.
months, don't think about work. Then think about it after 6 months. Because the first 6 is like, you got to go take a trip or something and
Yeah.
forget about it. But best of luck. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
How many
Wonderful.
years with Pleasant Hill?
8 years.
8 years? Okay.
Yeah. Before that, I had 17 in Dublin, so a long time in Dublin as well. So I seen everything, built in Dublin before I came here. So
And will Ryan be elevated, or is that a decision by council, or is that?
That's decision by a city manager
Yeah,
and
okay.
going out
Yeah.
for that position, and kind of remains to be seen how all that unfolds.
It never stops.
it never stopped.
You just keep going forward, right?
Yes.
That's wonderful news for you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Any accomplishments that you're the most proud of,
Yeah.
can I ask?
I think I would say the library, right? It was a hard project for me to manage because when I started the project, the COVID, right, hit. And I had to think everything outside the box from the day one to get that built. But I got that built within the time frame. I was only out 3 months. So
Great
so very-
library.
yeah, very, very, very proud of that accomplishment, given what went wrong and we couldn't find steel and I had to have steel plant open 24/7. And every time when someone gets COVID, it gets shut 2 weeks, then I lose 2 weeks, then I gotta bring back again. And I had to, shipping changes done, all the ship were getting stuck in LA, remember? So I had to tell Germany to send stuff to Oakland.
Sure.
And Midwest went through freezing time. I could not get a paint, so I had to get a heater truck to get a paint delivered from Midwest to here. So fun, exciting stuff people would not think about.
I'll
on
bet
a
you're not
project
gonna, you're
like-
not gonna miss those Teams and Zoom meetings, huh?
No, I put 16 hours a day, every day, including weekends.
Those are just so frustrating after a while.
Yeah, but it was well worth it, and it's been received well by the residents. So I'm very, very, very proud.
The library's wonderful.
Yeah.
Always busy.
And probably the most proudest part is the people that I hired. I hired the best staff for my team. So I'm very, very proud of that. So those are the
Hopefully
two.
you'll get a.
You asked for one, I gave you two.
I'll at least get a free umbrella with the Pleasant Hill logo.
It's always nice to see a project get built, during your time. That's always an
And
accomplishment.
now you can open a logistics company.
Oh, jeez.
So does that come under, it doesn't come under commissioner and liaison?
No, that's what we put it under. Anything else? I don't have anything,
Congratulations.
I don't have anything else to report. Other than I'll miss Jonathan.
Okay, so is there anything else anybody wishes to raise?
I think you've covered everything. It's,
The traffic calming on Hook, did that, is that still, the data still being
Still-
collected on that?
Yeah,
Last
when it's raining, it doesn't work as well to get the data. And so,
I drove it
That's
3
been a
times.
challenge.
Again, I didn't see it myself. It just, there was nothing there. I mean, there's the other street that's a little busier, the one closer to the freeway is, I forget the name of it, but
yeah.
Pleasant Valley or
Yeah,
whatever.
I'll have a report on that at the next meeting.
Okay, so just leaves me to declare it adjourned.
All right.
Thank you very much, everybody, for your contribution.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
We actually had some public comment for the first time, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
I'm beginning to
We're not-
wonder if anybody came to this.